Hi, it's Larry here of Xbox's Major Nelson. Welcome to the official Xbox podcast. What a week for you this week. Not one, but two special guests. And let me bring them in here just a minute here. Let me hit this little button. Voila, there they are. Malik, of course, on the left. You know Malik, who has been on the show before. We call him Malik of the Week. He's back. And over on the right, we have a brand new person, Kelly Lombardi, who works on our games marketing team. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
It is great to have you on the show. Of course, you're streaming all the time. Tell us a little bit about what you do. People may recognize your name or your face from other places, but tell us about your day job.
Yeah, so my day job is a product marketing manager on the global games team. So I get to work on publishing titles, which are super fun, exciting, and recently shipped As Dusk Falls. Fun. If you haven't played it, Go check it out. It's super fun. It's on Game Pass. Very fun narrative adventure, multiplayer. It's just a really great story-driven experience. So that was a lot of fun to work on. And then, as part of my side hustles, I also host FanFest with the one and only Malik, and then stream on our Xbox Twitch channel each week. So lots of different hats, but
you're doing a great job for us, so thank you. It's always good to see you.
Yeah.
And then actually, we're going to you guys are doing a fan fest. Unfortunately, if you didn't sign up for it, you'll miss it. But we're doing one this weekend. I think I'm going to pop in on that for a little bit. I'm going to crash your little party you guys got going on there. But that's why I wanted to get you on, because, like I say, we love getting different voices of different people that work across the Xbox business. And certainly Malik works on some fun stuff. We all work on fun stuff. We work on video games, right? So
we're so lucky. We're so lucky.
But it's fun to have you on here, and we're going to start right off about kind of what we're playing this week. Malik, why don't we start with you?
Okay, yeah. One of these ways. I just want to take a step back, actually, or just give kudos to Kelly.
Oh, hold on a minute.
Yeah,
it's back.
We have to address the vacuum in the room.
The vacuum.
This way. So, the first time, or the last time I was on the show, I believe I had my vacuum in the background, which, by the way, is a Dyson, very expensive. So you know what? I might as well show it.
I was just to. You're kind of doing.
It was a flex.
Yeah, he's flexing.
Yeah. He's like, look at this vacuum.
But it was actually bad luck, because my dog, who is blind and deaf, he's an older dog. He actually ran into it. It fell and it broke the top off of it.
Oh no!
But I had to put it. Yeah, way to bring the mood of the show down. But I had to actually put it back up because continuity purposes. At this point, it's a supporting act of the show here, I think. No. I mean, I don't know. Who do you take a vacuum to? I don't know.
Here's a little clue. A lot of people don't know this. Here in on the east side of Seattle, there's a Dyson repair center in Kirkland. I'll tell you about that off the air. And this is what they do. So it's I've been there a couple times.
If the vacuum was like, I think $400, $600, however much it is, I can't imagine what the cost is going to be to repair it.
You're on your own there, pal.
I'm just going to leave it. But I did want to take a step back and talk about As Dusk Falls. I think that's like my game of the year. Kudos to Kelly and the team over at Interior Night. Like, it is an amazing story. If you haven't played it, again, like Larry mentioned, it's on Game Pass. Some of the best writing in any game that I've ever played, decision-based game, choice-based game, because it really does. Your choices, even the ones that aren't like the big choices, affect the outcome of the game. So just kudos to that. And also, it's this past week was N7 Day, which if you're a Mass Effect fan, you may know. So I had my Mortis, who is a Solarian in the game. I think Mass Effect is the best trilogy in video game storytelling, and so I just want to
do you remember the segment where you could go in and go down a specific part of the dialogue tree and have him do the dancing segment? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I always danced in everything. There's like a reporter scene, which is a little. Anyway, there's a lot of moments in that game that kind of live in video game infamy, so to speak. But shout out to Mass Effect and the team over at BioWare. But for me, we always talk about the Apex Legends. I know at this point, but I will say every time I'm on the show, there's a reason to talk about it. So obviously they just launched a new season with a new character, actually the first trans character in the game, which is cool. Catalyst, I believe her name is. And then and the new season, brand new map, Broken Moon. I think it's one of the best maps that they've put out.
I've got to get
so
back
far.
into it. I mean, I keep threatening to play with you, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
It is a threat. No,
join our squad.
Do you play, Kelly?
There you go.
Yeah. Right. Malik and I played on stream last week and got a dub for our last game. It was so much fun. We had a blast.
Nice work.
Yep.
Nice work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Kelly has 59 days in the game. I have like 75 days in the game. Together, that is, and wild amount of hours in that game. So I played that, but then I also kind of went back and started playing a game that I really loved playing. One of the first games that actually hit Game Pass back in the day, and I believe it's still in it. It is City Skylines. I know. It's like one of those games that you don't expect too many people to play, but I grew up playing SimCity 3000, SimCity 4. In a past lifetime, I was the mayor of a city. I can't say that I'm doing a great job running my city. They're all in need of water, clean water, and the ambulances, you can kind of see them going around picking up the bodies.
So there's a lot
and
of
taking
activities.
them to. Let's just say I'm not doing a great job, but I love the game, and it's
not that you're not doing a great job, Malik. Just look at it this way.
Okay.
Plenty of opportunity. Look at it that way.
To improve. You know what, Larry? I appreciate you giving me that out there, but I love that game. It's one of those that you can kind of sink hours into, and like they just fly by. And so that's kind of been what I've been playing, and obviously I'm looking forward to Pentiment, which is coming out soon, and then of course High on Life coming out next month. I cannot wait. So there's a lot that I'm just waiting to play here in the very near future.
We've got, I've started playing Pentiment. I can't really talk about it because it's under embargo, but I started playing that a couple nights ago. Beautiful art coming to Xbox Game Pass. High on Life, we're going to get Justin on the show. He's a friend of the show. We're going to get him on the show. So he's going to be here to join us hopefully in a few weeks. But Kelly, what about you? You tell me you're playing Apex. What else are you playing?
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to unpack with what Malik just kind of laid out, but we'll revisit that at a later date. For me, I have been playing on Game Pass a lot of 2 Point Campus. I find it's just like a really relaxing sim game, and they just did like a Halloween event where everything that you could place was like decorated with pumpkins, and like there were little bat decals on the windows and little spiders in the shower. So they did a really great job of kind of like a little spooky Halloween event, and really enjoyed that. It's one of those games like
Sims. Like, do you like the farming simulator, the power washing simulator? Are you?
Yeah, I spent an unhealthy amount of time in Power Wash Simulator and also House Flipper. Yeah. House Flipper was my jam for a long time. I tend to kind of be all over the place. I also have recently jumped back into Sea of Thieves.
Yes. Are you a legend? Pirate Legend?
Mm-hmm, Pirate Legends represent. Yes. Yep. And they've been putting out seasons and content, and every time I jump in, there's like new things to explore. So big fan of that as well. Also, got to do my dailies in Disney Dreamlight Valley. Also on Game Pass. I got to check what's in the store every day. I got to harvest my pumpkins. Not trying to like flex too much, but since Malik did with his vacuum, I am a Disney Dreamlight Valley millionaire, thanks to my pumpkin farm.
You could afford two of those vacuums.
I could buy 2 Dysons. That's kind of what I've been diving into. A mix of heavy shooter action with Apex, some low-key simulators, and then the Disney Dreamlight Valley. So
sounds like I got a nice rounded. I actually started playing. I'm back into Halo. Of course, they shipped the big update this week. Their winter update got co-op network campaign co-op. So started doing a little bit of that. I got a couple of new maps, some modes. Of course, Forge. Really looking forward to seeing what the community is gonna bust out with some of the Forge action. Do that. I finished the Call of Duty campaign. So that
nice.
Was,
so did I. Yeah. It was awesome.
That was fun. It was weird because all of a sudden I'm like, okay, we're doing a driving level. Okay, I guess we're crafting now, right? So
You're like, what game is this?
First way through, you just start crafting, and you're like, what game is it? But that campaign is so good. I haven't actually played a Call of Duty campaign since the original Modern Warfare 2.
Okay,
way back in the day. And I was very surprised, and I had to ask myself, like, have I been missing out on such an amazing campaign? Like, no spoilers, obviously, but there's like levels where you're like hanging from a helicopter upside down, trying to take out people.
It's a Michael Bay movie.
It is 100%. It 100% is. Yeah.
So let's say finish that. Of course, been playing Overwatch 2, kind of going through that and kind of making sure I've got all my challenges and everything in there. So that's kind of what I've been playing this week. It's been a good, November's historically a very busy week for gaming, and this is no exception. So it's we're looking forward to the coming weeks. But we're going to talk about news right now. Malik, I think since Jeff is out, I'm going to have you handle the news the news desk, if you don't mind. So why don't you pop up and let us know what's going on?
Yeah, well, not too much news. I think the one thing I wanted to focus on is Xbox and Marvel teaming up together to help, launch Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is in theaters as you're watching this today, November 11th. Super exciting. Obviously, the first Black Panther, huge success. It's one of the most successful movie franchises in Marvel history, and this one is going to be, I'm sure, no different. Very excited to watch it, and I don't even watch movies typically, and I'm pumped to watch it. But yes, we did launch a partnership with Marvel to kind of help launch the game, launch the movie, and a lot of what you'll see in the Wire piece is about Xbox and Marvel teaming up to promote and help foster STEM industries. So that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, specifically in the Black community. And so we've talked about things like Project Amplify and, really the goal to get more Black devs into gaming. And so this is just another opportunity to utilize the theme of the movie to kind of get folks, specifically Black folks, into those STEM industries. And there's a number of different things going on. I will say the coolest thing, and you'll see it on the on Xbox Wire, is the console that is going out to a few select people. It just designed really well. It's an Xbox Series X. You can kind of see it on news.xbox.com. It has the the Wakanda Forever, the salute as controller holders. Oh, is it? Do you see it? Yeah, as controller holders. It's just a really cool partnership, and I know Marvel, they take a lot of pride when they team up with companies, and I know that this is no different. And like I said, at the top of this, one of the most important parts that they wanted to ensure that we were part of, obviously being in the gaming industry, is that focus on the culture and making sure that we spotlight those STEM industries, and so it's just a really great partnership. And like I said, I'm excited to see the movie November 11th. It's coming out, so yeah,
sweet. That's the big. There's so many other things, and you can go to news.xbox.com and check. Do you have any other headlines you want to hit, or we'll just tell people to go self-serve?
I think I think our History Untold was one of those games that kind of was showcased this summer at the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase.
Right.
The technical alpha just started, and so you can join their insider program. I think that's going to be really exciting as that game launches next year. It's not a game that I would historically try back in the days, but I think because of Game Pass, because of just the accessibility that Game Pass offers, it's one that I'm really excited to actually pick up and get more into. And so that is also on Xbox Wire. So check it out for details on how to join.
Also, we talked about Call of Duty a moment ago. Warzone 2.0 is arriving November 16th. So Season 1, looking forward to that. Did you guys play any of the original Warzone?
Yeah.
I did. Kelly, what about
I did. I found it very hard to switch back and forth between Warzone and Apex.
It's hard.
A few of my squad mates can confirm I threw a lot of accidental grenades at people. And just like the pacing is different. Like I always wanted to like rush in and fight. And it's like, no, you got to sneak by, like stop making so much noise.
Right.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun though. I will say not that great in the Gulag.
Well, they updated the Gulag
win.
So we've got to go in there. There's now apparently the Gulag is much more Gulagi. I don't know, but they should. They've got some cool stuff in there that I'm aware of. So check it out. That's coming November 16th. So just it's kind of fun because they shipped it after the Call of Duty multiplayer and the campaign a few weeks later. So we got to kind of get in on that. And now we'll kind of give it a second gust of wind, as it were.
Yeah, that game needs all the support it can get. Small studio,
One more piece of news, Malik. Yeah. We mentioned it earlier in the show, but we do have FanFest tomorrow.
That's right.
And even though you would have had to register for trivia earlier this week, we are streaming it on Twitch for the first time ever. So even if you're not participating in trivia, you can still watch the show, keep an eye out for special guests. Yeah, you can practice for like the next time we do trivia, so you can get a feel for what the questions are. So we're very excited to be able to bring in even more of the community, and it's not going to be a closed event. So very excited for that. Twitch.tv/Xbox. Make sure you tune in to see Malik and I.
What's the time on Saturday?
2 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah. 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 2 p.m. Pacific. I will say, you mentioned Kelly, special guest, and I'll get into special guests in just a second because I think you might recognize one of them. But I will say, like, FanFest Trivia was born out of, obviously, we've been doing FanFest in person for years and years prior to the pandemic. But last year or 2020, when we were launching the consoles, was the first time that we had to do it virtually.
Right.
We did a FanFest Trivia out the studios. Didn't go super great, but in 2020, but in 2021 we brought it back. We were learning. We got rid of the person that really ruined it, which was, he was on the show last week, Ethan. So after we got rid of him,
really
it worked out
throw
perfectly.
Him under the bus?
No,
yeah,
he's my
Ethan tripped over the cord, and no one could figure out what went wrong, but it was Ethan's fault for sure.
Okay,
100%. But it's going to be great.
Okay.
He's used to it, but he gives it back. But I think it's going to be great. It's, again, like, trivia is a real great opportunity. And I will say, from that first year, what was really apparent is that the Xbox fans, especially the FanFest fans, are so understanding. I had never received so much love for how we handled those technical issues. And it just goes to show that those, like, the Xbox players and fans are just super supportive. And so we're excited this Saturday to have a great time, like Kelly mentioned. Even if you're haven't registered to play the game, register for FanFest, which you should for future events. You'll be able to watch for the first time ever on Twitch and join along in the fun and still answer some of the questions on your own. But I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, just to be clear, the folks that signed up, some of them, a lot of people signed up, but we selected a random number of them will join us that can participate and win prizes. So, but if basically it's those people that are going to participate and maybe win prizes, or you can just show up and watch the fun. So that's kind of the difference.
That's right. And then you're going to be, and speaking of guests, which no one was speaking of just now, but I'll just bring it up. We have special guests, and Major Nelson right here is going to be one of them.
I'm going to come
in studio.
You guys are crashing my party this week. I'm going to crash your party this weekend. Let's look at it that way.
I love it. I love it.
No, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll be in studio, which will be the first time in quite some time. So I'm looking forward to returning to the studio. But anyway, FanFest, as Kelly pointed out, twitch.tv/Xbox, and follow any of us on Twitter. You can see our Twitter handles below there, and we'll be tweeting it out as well. So keep that in mind. Anyway, hey, we got some interviews here. Kelly, would you mind doing the honors and getting us into the interviews?
Yes, absolutely. So we have 2 super fun interviews this week. Larry, Major Nelson got to spend time with 2 folks. We're very excited to share this with you. One, we have so much flight sim goodness happening this week. And so Jorg Newman sat down with Larry to kind of talk about some of that news. And then we also have Takashi Zuka from Sonic Frontiers, who took the time to chat with Major Nelson about what they have going on. So let's get into it.
Very excited. Sonic Frontiers is out this week, and joining us is Takashi Izuki, who's the Sonic series producer. Takashi-san, welcome to the official Xbox podcast.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to talk to you about Sonic. I've been a Sonic fan for many, many years, capturing those gold rings and having fun. Tell us a little bit about Sonic Frontiers, brand new game that's out, and what it brings to the Sonic franchise.
Hi. Now, I will speak in Japanese. So, Sonic Frontiers.
Yes, Sonic Frontiers is the next game in the series after 2017's release of Sonic Forces by the Sonic team. And what they did is took the linear format of Sonic games and expanded on it to create this open zone gameplay that really brings freedom into the Sonic universe.
We looked at Sonic is always about beautiful environments and going very, very fast with your shoes. Tell us what opening up the play area to create more of an open like world, what does that bring for the Sonic franchise?
今回はオープンゾーンになったことで、従来ですとその
Yes, for the open zone format, we've kind of taken what used to be the linear time attack way of playing the game, of needing to get to the end of the finish line as fast as possible, and we've opened it up to now have Sonic run around wherever he wants. You can do 3D actions in whatever direction you want. You can battle enemies. You can run around and collect items. Because there's so many places to go and so much to do, we're allowing the players to do more. And they get to choose what they want to do, which is one of the key formats of this new free open zone gameplay.
I want to talk a little bit about the battle system that we see with Sonic. Tell us what that is and how folks are going to use it.
はい。
So the series up until now has really been focused on that linear gameplay, and it was always like pressing one button to do a homing attack to defeat the enemy to get to the end of the level as fast as you could. And because that was the game style, we couldn't really engage in battle with the enemy. We always had to keep moving forward. But with the open zone format that we now have the opportunity to place these really large enemies that will be really complex and require time to defeat. We can put them in the world and give the players the opportunity to engage in that battle or choose not to engage in the battle and simply run away. So this allows us not only to put these enemies onto the map, but also allows us to give players the freedom to engage or not engage depending on how they want to play the game.
One thing that we also have seen now with this is there's a skill tree upgrades. Mm-hmm. So there's a very different strategy, as you said, when you're in older Sonic games, you would just run to the end and press A. But there's now quite strategy and there's some complexity to it. What is it like introducing that complexity into our favorite hedgehog?
Yes, in the past we've had players unable to kind of level up Sonic the way they want to, but this is really the first time we've included it in a battle system. And because we have the open zone format, we now have the freedom to run around and play the game however you want. And this enables us to let players who want to decide, I want to focus on battling enemies, you can level up Sonic with more battle action. Other people who just want to have a high-speed action running around Sonic experience, they can now choose to level up Sonic in a high-speed action format. And we're allowing the users to customize and really improve their skills based off what they want to do in the game, whether it's to battle enemies or really get into the high-speed action.
When you've been around the Sonic franchise for many, many years, and you've given us many. You and your team has given us many, many wonderful Sonic memories. How does it feel for you to have Sonic break out of the 2D format and now be able to really realize Sonic in a much more exciting palette?
はい。ご承知の通り、
Yes, you're exactly right. When I joined the company and started working on Sonic games, this was Sonic on the Genesis. This was a 2D classic format. That was really the first generation of Sonic content until 1998 when Sonic Adventure came out and we took the step to the 3D environment. That was really the second generation of Sonic content. But now we're seeing with Sonic Frontiers, we've expanded on that 3D world to run around in and created the open zone format. And this open zone format is that next step. This is the third generation of Sonic gameplay that's being created.
I know that Sonic fans, new and old alike, are excited about the game. It's now available. You're on many, many, many different platforms, which is really exciting to see. You're on PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, Steam. It must be wonderful to be able to have Sonic, this lovely hedgehog that we've all grown and loved, now available on so many platforms. That must be really exciting for the team.
Yeah, そうですね。
Yes, that goes exactly into kind of the phrase that we keep in our hearts is really Sonic everywhere. We want Sonic to be everywhere for everyone. No matter what platform you're on, no matter where you're at, you can experience Sonic, whether it's in the game format even, or we're talking about TV animated series, the movie, licensed goods. We really want everyone everywhere to be able to experience Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, I know that, as I said earlier, folks are really excited to play Sonic Frontiers. There's two variations available. We have the standard edition, which is a physical or digital, and then you have the deluxe edition, which has all sorts of, it's got the digital main game and a treasure box and some other great stuff. So very excited. Sonic Frontiers available right now. Really appreciate everything you've done for us over the years, Takashi-san, and I appreciate this version of Sonic as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
40 years of Microsoft Flight Simulator, really exciting anniversary coming up. Actually happening right now. Jorg Newman, the GM of Microsoft Flight Sim, is joining us. Jorg, great to have you back on the show.
Great to see you. So happy to be here.
40 years. That's unbelievable. A lot of people like to point this out, and I'll point it out as well. It's older than Microsoft Windows.
It is. Windows, Office, they're all children. Flight Sim came first.
Compared to Flight Sim. First of all, big update this week. A lot of things going on for the 40th anniversary. We're going to talk about the Spruce Goose. That's why you and I are dressed up in these crazy leather outfits, a very Howard Hughes-esque like. I need the pencil mustache and about $7 billion in the bank to make it really relevant. But I want to talk about the 40th anniversary because this is an exciting moment for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Any game that gets to 40 years is extraordinary. And I mean, it's not a game. I know I'm not supposed to call it a game, but a lot of people do. So apologies for that. But tell us about the big update that's out for Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, I was just people always ask me, are there any other games that are 40 years? I'm like, yeah, Pong got 50, but I think we're sort of in the 10 most longest running franchises. Yeah, I mean the 40th anniversary edition, honestly, it's been such a ride. We've come out in 2020, as you know, and we promised right at the get-go, we said, hey, we're going to support this. And I made a bold statement. I said, I'm going to support this every month. And we've been at it for, I think, 26 months now. And we did 27 updates in those 26 months. So it's been quite a ride, including things like world updates, sim updates, the Top Gun update, the Pelican. We had tons of fun. We brought it to Xbox. We brought it to xCloud, or now called Xbox Everywhere, to really make this accessible to everyone. So as we approached the 40th anniversary edition, we said, now we need to do something really special. I mean, how many simulations or games really ever get to this milestone? And I did what I always do first. I basically said, let's see what the community wants.
Yep.
And the community had three things that were sort of at the top of their list. It was helicopters, gliders, and what they call a true-to-life airliner.
Okay.
And we added all those. We said, yep, got to do that. And then on top of that, I looked sort of behind me, my big board of Microsoft Flight Simulator installments. And I said, we also really need to celebrate our franchise and what we stand for. And what we stand for is we typically start at Mix Field, for example. If you played Flight Sim in the past, you know that. And,
I remember seeing the IBM PC clone, because we had a clone. And it was a green, the green screen, and seeing what was then the Sears Tower kind of going back and forth like this, right? That was exciting.
It was so cool. So in Chicago, exactly. So we're like, okay, we need to get that. And then, so we had sort of this idea of, should we do some other airports that don't exist anymore? And there's another famous one, Kai Tak in Hong Kong, that was closed in, I think, 1989. And then
now that's the one, for those of you that have seen the videos on YouTube, where the approach path was like you would aim towards a mountain, and then I've never flown into it. I don't know if you have, but then it was like a hard left, correct? And you go within, frankly, hundreds of feet of some apartment buildings.
That's right. You go straight. There's all these famous shots of airliners going straight over the buildings. So we had to go back to that, and then we wanted to have first flight just to celebrate the Wright brothers and really do it right. So we did that. And then another airport. But the real thing was we wanted to go back to sort of the substance of Flight Sim 10 and Flight Sim 9. And Flight Sim 9 was famous because it was called Century of Flight. Mm-hmm. It had celebrated 100 years of flight. And it had some of the most famous planes ever made, like the Wright Flyer, the Spirit of St. Louis, the DC-3, and those types of big monumental planes. And we said, let's go make all those. So I got into contact with the Smithsonian Museum, and they helped us with the scan.
Wait a minute. I got to ask you this question.
Oh, yeah.
You get in what do you pick up the phone and say, hey, could we come down and, I don't know, do you scan them? I mean, how do you capture an existing, some of which exist, like the Spirit of St. Louis, at the Air and Space Museum, and some don't, like the Halo Pelican. But how do you go about taking a real life aircraft and bringing it into the game, or bringing the simulator?
We scan it. So with the Smithsonian in particular, I mean, it's the Smithsonian, right? So they actually have some scans, super top-notch, like sub-millimeter scans that they made available to us. So the Spirit of St. Louis, I don't know if you know that, like Lindbergh flew it, and then he flew it over the Atlantic, flew back, landed it in Washington, and it's been in the Smithsonian since 1928 or something. Right. And it was mostly hanging on the ceiling forever and ever. Then it came down once, and then they did a scan. And that's the scan we ended up using. We talked about doing a new scan, and it was just too scary. The plane is is a little bit sensitive. Let's put it that way at this point in time. But the Whitefire and others, we basically go in with hand scanners, go into the cockpit, scan everything, and we get these thousands of point clouds, and those point clouds then get connected into a 3D mesh. So it is literally as accurate as you can make these aircraft.
Now you talk about scanning them in. I mean, it's not like you walk over to the scanner on your desk and I mean, this is some crazy 3D technology, right? With lasers and all that stuff.
There's two different types of scanners. There's a hand scanner that allows you to go into small places, and then there's the big from archaeological sites scanners, where you basically take something above the aircraft and you scan it from the top. It's crazy, but cool.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. You talked about, leaning back on some of the previous versions of Flight Simulator, and there have been quite a few, as is evident by behind you. But there's also a lot of really cool stuff coming for this update that's for the 40th anniversary. We talked about helicopters, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, so this is in my mind, the 40th anniversary edition. It's the best and most comprehensive edition of Flight Sim ever made. Like, so there are 7 classic planes, and we'll talk about the Spruce Goose here.
Yeah,
outfit in just a little bit.
Guest to join us to talk about that.
I know, but I mean, going back to the helicopters and gliders, they've been in versions in the past. I would say pretty simply. It was simple how they were done. Yeah. For the new one, we basically Asobo had to rewrite a lot of technology. But basically, there's a new rotor simulation where you have essentially hundreds of control surfaces across the rotor blades because they bend. The new airflow dynamic system had to be written, and a whole bunch of specific things that only helicopters really have. They're completely, in many ways, completely different from fixed wing aircraft. And then with gliders, to make that work across the planet, because we obviously have the entire planet, we had to add to our.
You just throw that out there. We obviously have the entire planet.
We have the entire planet, which is super cool, but it means we have to make everything work everywhere. So basically, we know obviously what the terrain is because we draw it. We also know when it rained last. And we know where the sun is, and we know the angle of the sun, so we know roughly what the lux levels are, because we also know what the particles are in the atmosphere. So we have a very accurate atmospheric simulation, and that allows us to basically have the sun hit the ground, and then depending on what the ground is, there's either a lava thermal updraft or there isn't. Over water, there's almost nothing. It absorbs just about everything. Yep. On a forest, it absorbs a lot. That's why it's green. In a city, not so much, right? There's impervious cover. It literally comes in and goes straight back out. So when you learn that as a glider pilot, you sort of learn the tells, right? You look for some clouds, you look what the birds are doing, and you can sort of see where the thermals are. But in our sim, given that we think quite a few people are experiencing gliders for the first time, just you and the wind, we actually have an option where you can turn that on. You can see the wind drawn essentially, and you can sort of see how the thermals really work. And it's a fascinating new way to learn about the planet, really.
Yeah. We talked about we got helicopters, you have gliders, you have the Airbus A310 in there, which is an amazing creature, for lack of a better term.
That one we actually partnered with a expert company. As a matter of fact, like that we could talk about this a little bit. A lot of what we did here with the 40th were partnerships. Like we talked about museums. We worked with a company that has been making helicopters for a long time called Nemeth Design. We also partnered with the manufacturer that makes the helicopter, so we had full access to their test pilots and their test data. And then on the airliner, none of us are airliner pilots, but so we partnered with a team they're called I&I Builds out of London, and they have made the A310 before, and they know a lot about it, and several of them are actually A310 pilots. There's only, I think, 74 A310s left. So with that, you can basically, true to life just means that when you're in the cockpit, pretty much every button does exactly what it does in the real world. So you can really dive, and it's unbelievably complex. So I have a ton of respect for airliner pilots, and I think now we are very, very close to being something that is true to life.
Speaking of true to life, let's talk about probably one of the most famous aircraft in the world, and I'm going to show it right now. That is the Spruce Goose. This is an amazing engineering feat that has incredible history. There it is right there in Flight Simulator. This was now available in Flight Simulator right now, and I'm so excited because a lot of people don't know this. Like forever, a lot of people, it was built in Southern California, right? and it was an attraction for quite a bit of time. It was in a dome next to the Queen Mary. But then a few years ago, when I say a few, like 20 years ago, it found a new home, didn't it, Jörg?
It did. It did.
And tell us about that, because this is actually a great moment, isn't it?
It is a great moment. Yeah, it was about a year and a half ago that I got a phone call from someone. It was basically a cold phone call. Somebody said, "Hey, I think it was Barry, from the Evergreen Museum in Oregon, and we have the Spruce Goose. And do you want it in Flight Sim?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I do." And I like you, I kind of had lost track of it. I knew about it, obviously famous plane,
Right.
but I thought it was still in California, or frankly, I didn't know where it was. So my God, was I surprised. And it's a fascinating story behind it. And I think we have another guest.
We certainly do. Let me hit a button here. Bring in Tyson Weinart. Tyson, you are the CEO. You are the head of this president and CEO of Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, which is where the Spruce Goose is finally at, I don't want to say at rest because it sounds like it's dead, but where it's currently residing. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and it is a pleasure to be here.
First of all, tell us a little bit about the Spruce Goose journey briefly for those folks that may not be aware, like Jörg and I were not, its journey up to become in your care.
Sure. The Spruce Goose was selected to move to McMinnville, Oregon, in a competitive process in 1991, then prepared for a move, started its journey in September, October of 92, and then eventually arrived in McMinnville, specifically on February 27th, 1993. And so, as the universe would have it, amazing coincidences are all aligning in such a special way right now, with the 75th anniversary of the Spruce Goose's first and only flight, the 30th anniversary of the Spruce Goose's move to McMinnville, the 40th anniversary of Flight Simulator, and the 120th anniversary celebration of flight itself. So this is an exciting time to be connected to the world of aviation. And as a former helicopter pilot myself, it is an honor to be here and be a part of the ride.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you must be excited because, as you heard, Jörg we have helicopters now in Flight Sim. Did you play Flight Simulator growing up, or tell us a little bit about that? I mean, you mentioned you're a real pilot.
I have a little bit of experience with it. But fortunately, with my military training, we were exposed to the actual simulators that we were required to maintain our proficiency with.
Well, some of us plebes who weren't in the military, we have to use regular off the shelf stuff, not the bespoke military. But it's we talked about the Spruce Goose and bringing that in. What is bringing the Spruce Goose into Flight Simulator and now accessible to millions of people? What does that mean to you and your team down there at the museum?
It is difficult to put into words how profound this impact will be. So as a museum, we want to position ourselves so that we can embrace all of our visitors and all anybody that's interested in the museum in general. We want to channel that curiosity into providing that sense of courage that they can take their next step to do something more. And so that marriage of curiosity and courage come together through the story of Howard Hughes himself. Now that story is being told in an amazing fashion by Jörg and his team. And so to have that connection where people can read about the specs of the Spruce Goose on any number of web-based sources, and then choose your own adventure for where you might want to take the Spruce Goose in your own Microsoft Flight Simulator experience, but then hopefully come see it in its all of its glory at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. It crafts just such a compelling experience for people that we're so excited to share.
And Jörg, I'm going to get to you in a minute because I've got a bunch of questions about this, but I want to talk about when people come to your museum, and I have not had the chance to go to it yet. But do they get to see? But they don't get to go inside, right?
Oh, you can definitely go inside.
Okay. So you're actually able
that's
to
part
go
of it.
inside,
That's part of a
but
special tour.
Obviously, one of the things you can't do, and that's what you can in flight simulators, you can fly this thing. Jorg, what was it like to bring this aircraft in and have people be able to fly what was at that time the largest aircraft in the world?
It's incredible. So first off, just to plug the museum a little, I was just there, and you have no comprehension. You have no comprehension how big this aircraft is.
Right.
So here it is. Voila.
Now, by the way, you're sitting under a replica of the Spirit of St. Louis.
That's right. And then you look at that one wing. So you walk around this museum. You're prepared to see a big aircraft.
Yeah.
But it's a mountain. You're literally like, oh my God.
Now, compare it to like what people are flying today, whether it's, they may remember the 747 or some of the larger aircraft that were in the skies.
Well, it's bigger than that. But I mean, I would say it was, as far as I remember, it was the biggest aircraft until 2009 or so, maybe, or 19 even. Like the Stratolaunch, I think, is bigger, but Tyson would know. Like,
right. Yeah, but it's.
Yeah, I mean, the Spruce Goose itself is, from wingtip to wingtip, is larger than an American football field.
Right. Okay, that's just put a little bit of that puts a fine point on it. One of the things I noticed when I was researching the aircraft, Jorg, is that when Howard Hughes flew, and this aircraft has only been flown once, right? It's only been flown once, and then he put it in the garage for many years. But the Spruce Goose, because it's made out of wood, and this was a wartime decision. And Tyson or Jorg, please correct me if I'm wrong. So they wanted to make it out of wood, so that's why it's called the Spruce Goose. Therefore, it floats, or helped to float. But when you're flying this aircraft, Jorg, the pilot was really focused on flying it, but there was actually a flight engineer. How do you handle that in Flight Simulator, where there's usually just one person in a session? I mean, are they doing pilot, co-pilot, and flight engineer, or how do you kind of normalize that? Yeah,
we do it all, and we have checklists and help that help you fly it. But I've flown it just obviously in the sim, and it is quite accessible. I would say it's enormous. Just looking out of the window, just seeing the last engine is just kind of an interesting journey of the eye. Right. But it's fun to fly, actually. It was, and as far as I know, it was made out of wood, but I think it was mostly because it was also a prototype. I think the aircraft was supposed to be aluminum later.
Yeah, go ahead, Tyson.
Yeah, just because of the wartime effort, metal was in such high demand. And when Howard Hughes discovered the strength and resiliency of Duramold, which was a sophisticated plywood at the time, and he secured the intellectual property and the rights to Duramold to then be able to make the Spruce Goose. And so the reality is the Spruce Goose was more of a nickname. The actual wood inside is yellow birch, and that yellow birch was sourced from the state of Oregon. And so the idea that the Spruce Goose has come home to Oregon is a powerful story in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was reading some flight forums online, and folks back in the 90s when it was when you won the right to call it a home up there. Some people were disappointed that it was leaving its home, but you just pointed out in reality its home is in Oregon, right? That's where the wood was started.
That's where the trees were sourced, and I'll leave it up to your listeners to determine where home might be a relative expression. Of course,
absolutely, that's right. Now, I also want to point out that certainly the Spruce Goose is one of the premier parts of your collection at your museum. What are some of the other parts of the collection that people maybe see when they go there?
The SR-71 Blackbird is absolutely breathtaking. It's of the remaining Blackbirds on display, I believe, my bias, of course, but ours is in one of the best conditions possible. And so we always welcome people to have a chance to see that and experience that. We'll have a few events to support that later on this year in the summer. But for the most part, we are engaged in celebrating a year-long effort for the Spruce Goose. There are so many critical dates that have come together ahead of us that really encapsulate that connection between being curious about something and then having the courage to take action to do something about it. And those are the stories that we want to tell. We want to connect the human experience to the sophisticated aircraft and spacecraft that we feature at the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum.
It's, having the Spruce Goose in there is something that I've always dreamed of seeing it. I've never had the chance to see it. I'm hopefully going to come down and see it down when I visit you. But it's such a thrill to see this important piece of aviation history that Jorg and his team are preserving and making accessible. Certainly, you're preserving the real of it. But let's face it, this is more people are going to see it in simulator than unfortunately may see it in real life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I may, okay. It's fascinating, right? So basically, as I've now traveled a lot to museums, Evergreen been a fantastic partner in this. I think there's a real common cause, which is preservation, and the preservation museums do is in the real world. And every time I come along and I say what we can do with Flight Sim, I think people start to realize that we can contribute and augment the preservation in a digital space. And the tooth of time eats on things, right? It has an effect. And I think we can have our Spruce Goose essentially in digital perpetuity, which is great. And Tyson and I were saying, before this week, only one person ever really got to fly the Spruce Goose back November 2nd, 1947. That was Howard Hughes. And now, starting with this week, anyone can. And how great is that?
Yeah, I mean that is an amazing story. And again, it's available. Microsoft Flight Simulator available on PC and Xbox Game Pass. You can fly it on your console. You can fly it on your PC. Now you have, for Tyson, who's been around the Spruce Goose for a while, it's like, yeah, maybe I'll go fly. So you can now fly helicopters in Flight Sim, so you can scratch that itch very cheaply, I might add. So it's an opportunity there. Listen, Tyson, I want to first of all thank you for joining us today on the show, and Jorg,
it's been my pleasure.
It's always great to have you. The Spruce Goose and the Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th Anniversary Edition available right now. So go download it. It's available as part of Game Pass. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. And thank you again, Jorg, and especially Tyson, for preserving some aviation history for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. See you in the sky.
All right. Well, thank you again to our special guests for taking the time to sit and chat. We always love hearing more about things going on in the world of Xbox. And also special thank you to Tyson Winart, who took the time to be interviewed as well. Such cool stuff happening down there in Oregon.
Amazing museum down there. I mean, aviation museums are incredible. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to like the Smithsonian Aviation Museum in Washington?
I have not, but I have a love-hate relationship with planes, but Flight Sim has endeared me so much. And that event with the 40th anniversary, we got to send some creators down, including like some actual pilots down. So it's always really good when you kind of connect that. I've not been to any.
What is your hate for planes? I mean, is it just scare? If you're afraid of flying?
That's what it is. It's not hate. Yeah, it's love, fear relationship is a better way to put it. Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, Malik, I mean, your concerns are not unfounded. Right?
Yeah,
here's
I talk about this with Jeff a lot.
Flying through the air at 500 miles an hour. It doesn't make any sense, but it works.
Yeah, but I talk about it with Jeff a lot in that, the odds of you getting into a plane accident where you don't make it are very, very slim. But if you're a part of that moment, you're very terrified. And so that's more what I'm afraid of.
Are you continuing to make this dark? What are you're bringing this?
I don't know. It's internal darkness.
Wow.
Malik is determined to bookend the pod with sinister behavior.
Wow.
That's okay.
Yeah, evil vacuum, and now we're into
That's right.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we'll have you right back on next week, Malik. I'll tell you that right away. Anyway,
oh, man.
That's kind of what we got this week. Really appreciate, seriously though, Malik, really appreciate you and Kelly joining us, because you guys are you do such great work. What I like to do on the show here is talk about some folks that are behind the scenes. And Kelly, you've got a whole team over there that you work with on the games marketing side. And Malik, you're working on creators. We'll get other people on it. And if possible, I know, Malik, I'll definitely have you back on. And Kelly, I'd love to have you back on as well, if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Sorry if you can hear that noise. Hang on for the big reveal.
Okay. I don't know what we're about to see.
I love this part.
Oh, hey, pal. Who's this?
This is Jack.
Hi, Jack.
We call it, he gets the meeps, and sometimes he just needs to be center of attention. So
well, guess what? There's Jack.
Say
There he
hi, buddy.
Jack's
That's like, what is going on?
Well, we
call it his meeps. Sometimes, he just has to be a star of the show. He's a 13-year-old rescue dog, and he's spoiled rotten. So yeah,
I appreciate
he makes
that.
appearances quite a bit in calls and streams.
Well, we are dog friendly on this podcast. We're cat friendly, dog friendly, we're animal friendly. So anytime
That's right.
It's not a problem. Anytime he wants to come in, and he's welcome to. So anyway,
yes.
All right, gang. Kelly, again, thank you for this. Malik, thank you for. You're right there, pal.
I'm great.
We're falling apart over here, Larry.
Nothing happened. Yeah.
I think it's time we say goodbye. We'll be back. I'll be back next week. Maybe these guys will be back. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks for downloading the show. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all those things that all those other folks want you to do. We love having you. Thank you for supporting Xbox. If you want to find everybody, this gang on social, just look at the bottom of the screen there. Kelly at Kelly Lombardi, and of course Malik Prince at Malik Prince. So there you go, gang. All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.